Welcome to day 2 of Vlogs from the Bower, CloudCatcher Witch Camp 2017. I am your vlog, Bower Priestess Sheree, and today we are talking about optional offerings that occurred within the Bower on day 2 of CloudCatcher. So we actually had 2 optional offerings presented by myself and by my co-priestess. The first optional offering was in regards to consent and boundaries, which is really an essential fundamental part of any Bower working. Is really about open communication and discussion about boundaries, consent, agreements made with self and others, and also it can extend out to eco-relationships and also aspecting in God work. So having solid foundational boundaries and consent within ourselves can really help us deepen our relationships with the community, with the environment around us, and with the gods and the goddesses and divine beings and mysterious ones. So the way that workshop really looked for us was about having really just that open discussion. A lot of people coming into this had varying experiences with consent within their own lives, or it might be their first time coming into that sort of work or having those conversations. So it was really about kind of just anchoring and holding that conversation. If it was leading too far away, bringing it back in. So the first part was really, I took some inspiration from Starlight, who ran the Tejas Web 2015 Bower called The Rabbit Hole. And it was really about, if you had one sentence to give the world about what consent is, what would it be? And we just did a round with that, so people would just share that one sentence that they would want to share with the world. And I think for me at the time, or it's like an ongoing kind of conversation about consent, but it is a acknowledged and conscious awareness of self and boundaries and the ability to say no. And it was really about that kind of like sharing for me in that process. And also going through and talking about consent and boundaries was really about what is a no, what is a yes, what is a maybe, what are the grey areas, because when it comes to consent, it's really a black-white area. There isn't a grey area in between. It's either a clear yes, a clear no, or it's pretty much a maybe is a no. Anything that isn't clearly defined as a yes is a no. And it was also about talking about how that yeses can become no's, and also no's can become yeses, depending on really the people involved, the contracts, the constant checking in with process and where they are, and really going through all of that. So that led to more discussions. That was an hour-long offering that we did in that space. Had a quick brief break in between, bio break, chill out kind of thing, maybe grab some tea, come back, and the next working we went into was called the Dance of the Reclaimed Temple, or the Dance of Five Blessings. So this piece was offered by Joe and I as a working that we did from a Teachers in Training Day here in Brisbane, and we enjoyed the work so much that we decided to take it as an optional offering to camp. So what it was about was really, the whole Bower this year was the Reclaimed Temple, so it was really about restoring that relationship with both ourselves and with the environment and with nature through reclaiming ourselves and reclaiming that connection. And in this process that we provided, so we had I drummed for this piece, and we had a bowl of water in the center that had a fragrant oil within there, and we discussed about what the fivefold blessing was. So this is taken from and inspired by the traditional Wiccan fivefold kiss, where it is a blessing upon the feet, a blessing upon the knees, a blessing upon the sex, a blessing upon the breasts and chest, and then a blessing upon the lips. And we channeled inspired poetry words into each of those blessings for this, so that each time it was done for someone stepping into the middle, it was different and unique, and wasn't just this carbon copy continued process for them, but was better, was magical. So that process really just involved us dancing around and really just seeing where we were in our bodies, checking in with ourselves and our processes at the time. And then from there, it was up to people who were within that working to approach Joe and ask to receive the blessing. So in doing this, it was their acknowledgement of reclaiming their temple and reclaiming their relationship with self. And in doing all of that, so Joe would place her hands in the water, place the blessings upon the feet, and then, well, actually, rewind a little bit. So before any of that happened, there would be the discussion about consent, about being able to touch the other person. Because this process doesn't require touch, it can just be like laying hands over sort of thing with no contact, but that process was in there as well. So I'm very aware of boundaries and consent that followed through from the previous working. So then, yeah, Joe would place the blessings on the 5 points in there, and the person would then be encouraged to really kind of dance back into that new relationship that they have, that new connection that they've developed. It might be a restoration, it might be a reconnect, it might be something entirely new for them. So we then had space to dance all that out, and we did a bit of a, once everyone had gone through, they wanted to, through the blessing process, just had a bit of a dance out and really just drummed a crazy beat for a while and just got all that energy pumping and flowing, and then it really just culminated into kind of just a explosive energy of joy and happiness, and a bit of a debrief after that. So really just a wind down conversation, check-in about how they felt before and how they felt after, and then that kind of really wrapped it up for that. And that was the optional offerings on day 2 of CloudCatcher Witch Camp in the Bower. So tomorrow I will be talking to you more about really the place of the Bower within community, what work can be supported in that place, and how community can also help support the work of the Bower. So for now, much love and have a wonderful day. Mwah!